والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له، لا إله إلا هو وإليه المصير. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إني أمسيت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر، فأتم علي نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أمسى بي من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا رب لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. ثم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
We start by praising Allah Azza wa Jal for bringing us together again at this time, this wonderful place, in order to continue our series of stories of the prophets, alayhim salatu wassalam. And tonight, inshallah, we are going to start the story of Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam. And of course, we cannot cover his entire story and life at one session. That's why tonight, inshallah, we're going to talk about the first session of his life. So basically from the very beginning until he was sold in the marketplace in Egypt. So this is what we're going to cover tonight, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam 26 times in the Quran. 26 times in the Quran. 24 out of 26 were only in Surah Yusuf, and one time in Surah Al-An'am, and one time in Surah Ghafir, and 24 times in Surah Yusuf. And Yusuf alayhi salam is the only prophet that Al-Quran dedicated the entire surah about his life. So we cannot find Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam story detailed in any other surah in the Quran except Surah Yusuf. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about him, and I wanted to start with this ayah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about him, وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And when he reached the prime of his age, أشُدَّهُ, the prime of his age, we gave him wisdom and knowledge. We gave him wisdom and knowledge. And this is how we reward those who are good in their deeds. Al-Muhsinin, those who are good in their deeds, the good doers. So in this specific verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the way he blessed Yusuf alayhi salam when he gave him al-hukma wal-nubuwah, the wisdom and the knowledge. Which means basically in this context, prophethood. Allah Azza wa Jal made him a prophet. And we know that Yusuf is the son of Yaqub, and Yaqub the son of Ishaq, and Ishaq the son of Ibrahim, alayhim, all of them, as-salatu was-salam. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen him from the best of the families, from the best of the families, Al Ibrahim. So that's why when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad kama sallayta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim, which means this is the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also praised him in the Quran when he said, كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ. This is how we, and this is, within the surah of Yusuf, this is how we prevent him from doing acts of wickedness and shamefulness. Why? He said, إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ, because he is one of our sincere servants. The Prophet ﷺ also praised him in the hadith that we have mentioned, sometime in the last few weeks, when the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ الْكَرِيمَ إِبْنُ الْكَرِيمِ إِبْنُ الْكَرِيمِ إِبْنُ الْكَرِيمِ Yusuf ibn Ya'qub ibn Ishaq ibn Ibrahim. So the Prophet ﷺ described him or portrayed him as what? Al-Kareem, the generous, the honorable one. Al-Kareem also, the meaning of Al-Kareem is not only the generous, but also the honorable one, the noble one. So this is how the Prophet ﷺ praised him and his father and grandfather, etc. So, as I have mentioned, he was mentioned in the Quran 26 times, 24 in Surah Yusuf, and one time in Surah Al-An'am, another time in Surah Ghafir. He is also known as As-Siddiq, the truthful. Yusufu ayyuha As-Siddiq. So he was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him in the Quran as what? As As-Siddiq, because he always says the truth. And he is one of the prophets sent to Bani Israel. Again, Israel is the other name of Ya'qub. And Bani Israel is everyone who came from a sulala, from the lineage, from the family of Ya'qub. So every prophet after Ya'qub alayhi salam was sent to Bani Israel, and the first prophet was Yusuf alayhi salam. And then after him, every prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent was from Bani Israel, sent to Bani Israel, until the last one, Isa alayhi salam. And in Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned his life in details. From the very beginning, mentioning all the trials and the difficult moments that Yusuf alayhi salam went through. A hardship after a hardship. And Yusuf alayhi salam went through so many difficult times in his life. But the good thing about Surah Yusuf is that the end of it is nice, is very happy, is very hopeful. So when you go through Surah Yusuf, it's like a movie. It's like a movie. Every time you read something about him, that he got into trouble, and then the ease comes. A difficulty, a hardship, and then the ease comes after that, until at the very end, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought his entire family, his parents, all his brothers, in order to recognize him as a great person, a great human being, a great prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam. And here I would like to mention something that the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Yusuf on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is very significant. Surah Yusuf was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam before Al-Hijrah. Either before or after, most likely before Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj took place about 18 months before Al-Hijrah, before the migration to Al-Madinah. So before Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the entire surah of Yusuf on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to give him a lesson that, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you find yourself in difficult times, if you are going through a hardship in your life, you are not the only one. Look at Yusuf before you. Look at what happened to him. Since his childhood, throughout his entire life, going through so many difficult times. But look at the end of his life. Look at the ease, the hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought at the end of his life. Which means, oh Muhammad, the same thing will happen to you. And this is sunnatullah, the universal rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with every prophet, with every person who claims to be a believer, who claims to follow the footsteps of the prophets, will go through the same trial. So this surah actually gave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the biggest hope. And when this surah was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah was in a very, very, very bad situation. He was running out of options. It was revealed to him right after coming back from the Ta'if. So there was no one at that moment, at that time, ready to listen to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam thought that, what I'm going to do? This is the end. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to him Surah Yusuf in order to show him that what happened to Yusuf is going to happen to you. And always keep that hope with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no matter what situation you are in at this moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring an ease to your life, to your da'wah, to your path. And this is what happened. And the first sign of the ease was the miraculous journey of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entertained his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gave him a big hope. Right after coming back from Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, he met with a group from Yathrib, the old name of Al-Madinah, who came to him and gave him the pledge of allegiance, and then things started, being easy until he migrated from Mecca to Al-Madinah. So let's always keep in mind that this Surah Yusuf, was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ when he was going through a very hard time in Mecca before the beginning of the ease. Who are al-asbab? We mentioned this before, and we said that most of the scholars, they said that al-asbab were the sons of Yaqub. Were the sons of Yaqub. The 12 sons of Yaqub. Sometimes they call them the 12 tribes of Banu Israel. And Yusuf was one of them. Yusuf alayhi salam was one of the 12 tribes or the 12 sons of Yaqub alayhi salam. And al-asbab, they were the origin of Banu Israel. So all the Banu Israel, the Jewish people, they came through al-asbab, the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam. And some scholars, there was a debate, and we have mentioned this before, whether al-asbab were prophets or not. Some scholars, they said they were prophets. Other scholars, they said some of them were, some of them weren't. But other scholars, they said none of them was a prophet except Yusuf alayhi salam. And this is the opinion of Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, the famous mufassir of the Quran. He said, it appears, this is what he said, it appears from the story in Surah Yusuf that none of them got prophethood. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would tell us that at least one of them, or two, or three, or four, or whoever was a prophet. So according to their story in the Quran, that only Yusuf alayhi salam was a prophet. And none of the 11 brothers of Yusuf, none of them was a prophet. And he said that because of what they have done, Ibn Kathir said, because of what they have done to Yusuf, those are not the qualifications of prophets. And then he said, the word al-asbat, other scholars, they responded to him, then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the word al-asbat in the list of the prophets in the Quran, in several times? He said, the word al-asbat doesn't mean necessarily the sons of Yaqub. He said, the word al-asbat means all Banu Israel. You see? Because he said, when we say the sons of Yaqub, it means al-dhurriya. Every person who came from Yaqub, his sons, grandsons, and daughters, and everyone who came through that line of family, they are called al-asbat. And definitely some of them were prophets, like Yusuf alayhi salam. And after him, like Dawood and Sulaiman and Yahya and Zakaria and Musa and Harun, Isa. These are all, people who came from that line of Yaqub alayhi salam. So there is a debate among scholars whether Asbat were prophets or not. But this is the opinion of Ibn Kathir. And subhanAllah, it makes sense, his opinion. So some of them were prophets. But he said that according to the story mentioned in Surah Yusuf, it doesn't appear that any of the brothers of Yusuf was a prophet. Yusuf alayhi salam, with his brothers and his father. The story in the Quran of Yusuf started by that young boy, and the scholar said that he was less than 10 years old. Some of them, they said he was about 8 years old. Waking up in the morning, one of the mornings, and rushing to his dad, rushing to his father, Yaqub, excited to share with him something that he saw in the dream. A young boy rushing to his father right after he woke up in the morning, excited to share with his dad something that he saw in the dream. It seems that when he shared this dream with his father, no one else was there. No one else was there. Even though in the version of Banu Israel, it says that his brothers were there. And it says also that when Yusuf alayhi salam shared the dream with his father, Yaqub, his father made fun of him. Okay? Made fun of him. And he said to him in front of the whole family, okay, then myself and your mom and all your brothers are going to prostrate to you, right? He said it in, just to make fun, as a joke. This is in the version of Banu Israel. In the Quranic version, it's totally different. When you read it in Surah Yusuf, you feel totally the opposite. You feel that Yaqub was very happy, very excited to hear Yusuf, his son, sharing with him this dream. What was the dream? Yusuf alayhi salam saw 11 stars, planets, and the sun and the moon making sujood to him. رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. Oh Father, I have seen 11 stars and the sun and the moon. All of them, I have seen them fallen in prostration to me. when the father heard this from his son, he was very extremely happy. And he knew that this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his son will have a bright future, will be blessed in this life and the hereafter. He knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preferred him over anyone else in that family, that young boy. Because immediately after showing his happiness, his joy, his excitement, immediately after that, he told Yusuf, please do not share this dream with your brothers. Do not tell them what you have seen. Scholars said that because Yaqub already noticed before that Yusuf and his brother Benjamin, they were already subjected by their brothers to some kind of hatred and envy and jealousy, and things were not going well between Yusuf and the rest of his brothers. So Yaqub alayhi salam didn't want Yusuf to share the story, to share this dream with his brothers, so this hatred will increase. So this is how Yaqub alayhi salam reacted to this dream that Yusuf alayhi salam shared with him. So he asked him not to share it with his brothers and just to keep it for himself, because he knew that his brothers will have a totally different behavior with Yusuf alayhi salam. So also what we notice here is that Yaqub had a special feeling towards Yusuf. He loved him more than anyone else. And this was obvious, and this is what made the rest of his sons developing this feeling of hatred and envy towards Yusuf. And if you go through the verses of the Quran in Surah Yusuf, you will see how this conversation was taking place between the sons of Yaqub, demonstrating their feeling. Why did Yaqub have this special feeling towards Yusuf and also his brother Benjamin? Some scholars, they said because they were orphans. Their mom passed away. Their mother Rahil, if you remember, died. So in Arabic, when the mother dies, we say about that child, yatimul yatim, orphan of his or her mother. If the father dies, we say yatimul ab. If the father dies and the mom is still alive, we say yatimul ab. So either yatimul or yatimul ab. Okay? If both of them die, what do we say? Just yatim. So in the Arabic language, when you say yatim, which means that this child lost both parents. When you say yatimul ab, this child lost father. If you say yatimul this child lost his or her mother. So they said that because his mother died. Other scholars, they said no, because at the end of the surah, when the whole family came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ, and he raised his parents on the throne. Abawayh. And in Arabic language, when we say Abawayh, we mean both father and mother. We don't say Ummawayh. We say Abawayh. Okay? Father and mother. But scholars, they said that here, Abawayh, it means his father, Yaqub, and his aunt, Leah. You remember that Yaqub got married with two sisters, okay? So they said that their aunt, Leah, was in the position of their mother. So that's why when the Quran said Abawayh, he meant Yaqub and his other wife, which is in the same time the aunt of Yusuf and Benjamin, Leah. Both of them were meant in this ayah. وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ. Abawayh, it means two parents, but al-khala بِمَكَانَةِ الْأُمِّ. The aunt is in the position of the mother. So this explanation also supports the fact that his mother passed away. And this is what made Yaqub has this special feeling of love towards Yusuf and his brother Benjamin more than anyone else in the family. So this is what the scholar said about the reason. So because of this preference, Yusuf's brothers started turning that feeling into a plan, into an action. And they started the discussion, the conversation, that they should do something. They cannot survive like this. They cannot let their father keep this very close relationship with Yusuf, and they cannot do anything. So they started the conversation. And the first opinion that was suggested was Uqtulu Yusuf, kill him. And they started, negotiating, kind of like debating back and forth. What should we do? How can we kill him? Until one of their brothers, according to some narrations, he was by the name of Yehuda, and he was the most wise of all the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. He told them that we're not going to kill him. We're not going to commit the sin, but I suggest something else, something different. And they were like, what do you suggest? What's your opinion? He said, I suggest that we should take him and put him in the well. Okay? In the bottom of the well. And he said, I know a well where a lot of people go back and forth, and a lot of people get the water from that well. Once we put him over there, shortly after that, somebody or a group of people will stop by to get water. They will get him and take him away. By doing this, we're not going to commit the sin of murder. We're not going to kill our brother. We should not do this at all. So the entire group of his brothers, they liked this idea. They liked this idea, and they decided to execute this plan. They decided to execute this plan. So, they didn't want to murder him. They didn't want to take him away and just put him somewhere in the desert, but they preferred to leave him in the well. The next morning, early in the morning, they, all of them, they came to their father Yaqub, and they told him, Father, why you don't trust us? Why you do not trust us when we tell you that we would like to take care of our brother? If we tell you that we would like to take him, well, they were shepherds. They used to take the cattle early in the morning somewhere. They told him, why you don't trust us so you can let us take our brother Yusuf with us? And we promise that we will take care of him. if you go through the story, the verses in the Quran, I mean, anyone who reads that story will notice the lies from the very beginning. They didn't know how to lie. And Yaqub alayhi salam found himself in a situation where he knew that they were lying, but he couldn't do anything because he didn't want to tell them no, so the hatred would increase. Okay? So he wanted kind of like to go with them for whatever they are asking and see what's going to happen. So they came to him and they started begging him, please Dad, we will take care of him, don't worry about, we will not leave him alone. And Yaqub tried to find excuses. Yaqub here was acting, as a dad, as a father, who was really, really concerned about the safety of Yusuf. So at the beginning, he tried to find some excuses not to let them take him with them. But they kept insisting. At the end, he surrendered. And he said, إِنِّي لَا يَحْزُنُنِي أَن تَذْهَبُوا بِهِ. I feel sad and concerned that you take him. وَأَخَافُ أَن يَأْكُلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. I'm afraid that the wolf will attack him. وَأَنْتُمْ عَنْهُ غَافِلُونَ. While you are busy doing something else. I'm afraid. And he mentioned the dhib. It's as if he gave them the solution, the trick. He said, go ahead and take him, but I'm really, really concerned that you might forget him somewhere by himself, and he is the youngest. You will go and play or do whatever you want, and then while being by himself, the wolf will come and attack him. I'm afraid. But they had the answer right away. They told him, لَإِنْ أَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ إِنَّا إِذًا لَخَاسِرُونَ. It's not going to happen there. Look at how strong we are. Look at how our number. If the wolf attacks him and eats him, it means that we are the losers. Inna idhan la khasirun. We are the losers. We don't worth anything. And they try to convince their father that they can take care of their brother. I can't imagine that dialogue that took place that morning was very tense. Through the words of the Quran, I can feel that dialogue was very tough, was very tense. From one side, Yaqub had a feeling that they were planning something wrong, but he couldn't say it to them because he didn't want to look like, no, you are going to kill him or you are going to do something like this. It will just, worsen the situation. But in the same time, the boys, they insisted to execute their plan. At the end, the poor father just surrendered. And he let them take Yusuf with them. Some scholars said, once they disappeared away from home, and they were not visible to their father, they started beating him up and kicking him and insulting him. They gave him a very hard time. They were very tough with their brother, all the way until they arrived to the well. Until they arrived to the well. And they did exactly what they had intended to do. They threw him in the well, and that well didn't have a lot of water. They put him in that well by himself. But before that, they took his shirt off and they left him without any clothes on his body. And they slaughtered one of the sheep or a goat that they had, and they put the blood of the sheep on the shirt of Yusuf. And we're talking about an 8-year-old boy. We're not talking about a teenager, a young man. I mean, any one of us here, if you have any child who is then less than 10-year-old, try to imagine your child in that situation. Try to imagine your child in that situation, put in the well by himself. They put some blood in the shirt and they went back. The time they arrived, it was dark at night, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the verse, وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً, the time of Isha, like this time. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ, shedding tears, weeping, shedding crying. Now, before we go into that discussion that took place when they arrived home with the shirt of Yusuf full of blood, let's think about Yusuf himself in the well. For sure, it was a very painful decision, even though the hatred that they had in their hearts towards their brother. I'm sure that it wasn't easy for them to leave their brother right there. They were trying to satisfy their wrong desire. But within them, there was something blaming them for doing that. But they didn't care. They didn't care because they wanted him out of the picture of the family. They wanted their father to pay more attention to them, not to Yusuf. But it was more painful. This experience was more painful on Yusuf alayhi salam as a young boy. We don't know whether Yusuf as a boy resisted when they tried to throw him in the well. We don't know. The Quran didn't tell us whether he resisted or he surrendered. I mean, لا حول ولا قوة له. No power. He had no power. He had no strength to resist or defend himself. We don't know what happened exactly. We don't know what type of conversation took place between them at that moment when they were about to throw him in the well. We don't know what they told him, what he told them, what they told each other. We don't know the reaction of his brother Benjamin. Actually, we don't know whether Benjamin was with them or they left him at home. We don't know. And if he was with them and he saw everything, we don't know what they told him. Maybe they threatened him that